Manufacturing is Vietnam's growth engine. The sector contributes around 1/4 of GDP, generates more than 85% of exports, and attracts the largest share of foreign investment. Yet Vietnam still faces challenges: low localization, limited value capture, and growing competition for advanced manufacturing projects. As the government targets manufacturing to account for around 28% of GDP by 2030, can Vietnam create more value instead of simply producing more? That's our focus today. Manufacturing has become one of Vietnam's biggest economic engines. Today, the processing and manufacturing sector contributes around 1/4 of GDP, generates more than 85% of the country's merchandise exports, and attracts the largest share of foreign direct investment. The sector also supports millions of jobs and remains one of the strongest drivers of industrial production, with output expanding by more than 10% in the first half of this year. That growth is underpinned by a diverse manufacturing base. Electronics remain Vietnam's largest export industry, while machinery, textile, furniture, food processing, and automotive manufacturing continue expanding. But manufacturing today is no longer just about producing more goods. It is increasingly about producing more sophisticated products with higher technological content and stronger domestic participation. The next stage of industrial development is already taking shape. By 2030, Vietnam aims to increase the contribution of processing and manufacturing to around 28% of GDP, raise localization in key industries to between 40 and 45%, and strengthen supporting industries through policies such as the Resolution 57 and the Industrial Development Strategy. And to discuss what comes next, I'm joined by two guests. Bjorn Klosky, Deputy Chief Representative of AHK Vietnam, who works closely with international manufacturers investing and expanding in the country. And connecting online with us from Ho Chi Minh City, Mr. Matthew Larry, Chairman of Alitium, whose work advising international investors has given him a unique perspective on Vietnam's manufacturing competitiveness and industrial transformation. Gentlemen, welcome to Bizline. Vietnam has built much of its manufacturing success on competitive labor costs. And is that still enough in today's global economy, or the definition of competitiveness fundamentally changed, Mr. Matthew Larry?
So labor cost was an important part and remains an important part, but more importantly, it's the productivity per unit of labor. And that's where Vietnam has progressed significantly. It's moved what it's producing, and it moved up the value chain as a result. It is making sure we're advancing our labor, we're training, and we are not relying upon the value of the cheap labor. It's about the productivity that is produced. That leads us into new opportunities with sectors, and as the world changes, demand changes, we're in a position to take advantage of that in the most effective and productive manner. And that's where we've moved from simply cost to outputs.
Back to Mr. Bjorn Klosky. Do you agree with what Mr. Larry just said? And what are the German manufacturers looking for today that they weren't looking for 5 or 10 years ago when investing in Vietnam?
A lot of German companies are really trying to localize their production, to ramp up partnerships with Vietnamese enterprises, but oftentimes, especially for higher value, higher quality products, they just cannot find, suppliers here, and then they turn back to other sources. And this is a bit regrettable. So from our perspective, would be great if we would see more capable and integrated suppliers in the future.
90% of this company production is supplied directly to multinational manufacturers. Over the past decade, its output has increased 9-fold because it now supplies complete component assemblies instead of simple molds or individual components.
Thời điểm 2010 chúng tôi chỉ cung cấp khuôn hoặc là những chi tiết nhỏ. Thì hiện tại chúng tôi hướng tới việc cung cấp cả một cụm các linh kiện. Cái điều đó tạo nên những cái giá trị gia tăng rất lớn.
40% of this company's production is now exported to the United States, Japan, and Europe, while half supplies foreign invested manufacturers in Vietnam. The company has expanded by around 20% annually.
Hợp tác với những cái tập đoàn lớn thì chúng ta phải có một quy mô đủ lớn để có thể đáp ứng được cái sản lượng. Thế còn về kỹ thuật thì mình nghĩ là cái việc chúng ta tiếp cận với công nghệ và kỹ thuật mới thì nó không phải là quá là khó. Chúng ta hoàn toàn có thể nhập khẩu, chúng ta hoàn toàn có thể thuê chuyên gia, thậm chí chúng ta có thể tự nghiên cứu cũng có.
According to the Vietnam Private Economic Report 2025, only around 12.1% of domestic enterprises currently supply goods or services to foreign invested companies, while just 5.5% export directly. That leaves significant room for Vietnamese manufacturers to move deeper into global production networks.
더구나 이제 앞으로 그 베트남이 가야 될 건 많은데 제일 중요한 것은 역시 새로운 기술 개발, 독자 기술 개발이 진정한 경쟁력이라고 생각을 합니다. 그래서 이거를 위해서는 제가 보기엔 정부 차원에서 어떻게 하면 부품 산업을 조기에 성장시킬 수 있는지 중장기 좀 플랜을 짜서.
As Vietnam seeks to move beyond contract manufacturing, the opportunity is no longer just producing more components. It is helping more domestic companies become trusted suppliers capable of creating greater value within global supply chains.
Mr. Matthew Larry, looking at the numbers that we just showed, Vietnam's manufacturing sector appears to be performing well. But what do you see as the biggest vulnerabilities underlying that growth?
I think, as we touched on, it's that local supply chain, making sure that we can develop. Because if we don't develop depth in Vietnam over the coming years, it becomes more vulnerable and it becomes more opportunistic for manufacturers to go to other locations that have that depth. So that creates strength by having supply chain. So if we don't develop it. The second thing is not adapting to what the globe needs. And the vulnerabilities of relying upon this abundance of labour that Vietnam grew up with is going to be dangerous. We're going to move towards more automation, and we must make sure that we're moving towards sectors that the world wants and that Vietnam is developing a propensity to excel at. And so it's really keeping an eye on all of those things and not resting on our laurels and what we have achieved so far.
Mr. Klasky, if manufacturing is to remain Vietnam's growth engine over the next decade, what is the single most important reform the country must deliver?
So, from our perspective, Resolution 68 is surely the right direction to go to, develop the local industry. What we read about in the news at the moment is a lot of talk about the conglomerates receiving a lot of love, so to say. What we hope for in respect to this reform, basically, to this resolution, would be that the SMEs, the small and mid-sized enterprises, who are the backbone of the country, and me as a German, I come from a country that really values its SMEs.
Inside this laboratory, researchers are developing advanced polymers, composite materials, and biomass-based nanomaterials for applications ranging from healthcare to environmental protection.
Hiện giờ đây là cái phòng lab này là được đầu tư tài trợ hoàn toàn từ doanh nghiệp. Họ thay vì họ đầu tư về con người, họ đầu tư về cơ sở vật chất trong công ty của họ, trong nhà máy của họ, thì họ đầu tư vào trường đại học, bởi vì trường đại học thì nơi các nhà khoa học họ làm tốt nhất cái vai trò khả năng nghiên cứu chuyên sâu. Thứ hai, Tôn Thánh Ba-mu là sẽ có một số công trình chỉ giao mang tính và khoa học tính ứng dụng và kết quả ứng dụng là từ 30 đến 40%.
Công nghệ vật liệu mới thì đòi hỏi trang thiết bị rất là đắt tiền, rất là tốn kém. Với tinh thần nghị quyết 57, tức là phải rất là nhanh, rất khẩn trương, phải triển khai mô hình là 4 nhà. Tôi cho rằng là nhà nước, nhà trường, doanh nghiệp và nhà khoa học để làm sao, tức là những cái bài toán đó thì đối với những vật liệu đặc biệt thì đặt hàng từ quốc gia, nhưng đối với vật liệu phục vụ quốc kế dân sinh thì phải có cái sự đồng hành của doanh nghiệp.
Advanced materials have now been included among the country's national strategic technologies under Decision 21. Experts believe breakthroughs in material science could strengthen industries ranging from semiconductors and electronics to clean energy and advanced manufacturing.
Ngành công nghệ vật liệu nó ảnh hưởng hầu hết tất cả các lĩnh vực, đặc biệt là trong cái định hướng mà phát triển bền vững của đất nước. Thì đây là một cái điểm sáng, và ngành khoa học vật liệu cũng như các ngành như khoa học cơ bản hay là ngành công nghệ điện tử.
As competition shifts from labor costs to technology, mastering strategic technologies may become just as important as attracting new factories. And that is increasingly shaping Vietnam's next phase of industrial development.
Mr. Bjorn Klauske, international manufacturers often say Vietnam now needs to move beyond assembly. In practical terms, how does that transition look like?
Yeah, as being discussed, Vietnam is moving away from its comparative advantage in labor costs and more into quality. And this is, I believe, a connecting point to this topic of assembly. At the moment, a lot of enterprises are still importing goods from abroad, assemble them here, export back again, to other countries. In the future, there will likely be a vertical integration. We are already seeing that with emerging industries in textiles, metal processing, electronics. Whenever such assembly industries develop, you will see a certain kind of vertical integration. So we will see more of this in the future, meaning Vietnam will move away, at least as a share, away from assembly, more into like this upstream supply. And our hope, again, is that there will be lots of Vietnamese enterprises being able to join the space, because for our German buyers, they are very interested into such companies beyond pure assembly.
Mr. Matthew Larry, can manufacturing itself deliver higher productivity, innovation, and incomes? Or must Vietnam gradually reduce its dependence on manufacturing-led growth?
I think absolutely manufacturing can be the foundation of further growth and be the backbone. It has proven so far, and there's nothing that says you can't be. So if Vietnam specialises manufacturing, it must go up the chain in value. Technology, renewables, sustainability, all of those elements are important, and to be less labour dependent. But that creates opportunity. The second part is to sort of elaborate is if we get the supply chain, that domestic supply chain right, Vietnam can actually integrate further into international manufacturing and be a supplier globally as well. And that creates more growth for the country and creates sustainability. So it's not just an import, process and export, it becomes much more integrated in that global supply chain.
Now back to Mr. Klauske. Which manufacturing industries do you believe offer Vietnam the greatest opportunity to create more value dramatically?
So we have a very German perspective on this. Most of our companies back in Germany are machinery and appliances manufacturers, companies from like the mobility sector and so on. And so what they are looking for in Vietnam, and where I believe Vietnam can or will be able to supply much more in the future, is metal processing, processes like casting, turning, stamping. I mean, this sounds easy, but if you take a look at the complexities that many products nowadays inherit, I believe it's not an easy task to really, adjust to these demands that we have from countries like Germany. So metal processing for sure. Then plastics. Here also we have a lot of complex tasks that cannot yet be settled down in Vietnam, but I would expect Vietnam to join these supply chains in the future. And then especially electronics. We already have a lot of FDI here, especially from Asia. We are hoping for many more Vietnamese enterprises to join this sector, because again, there is serious demand for such products from new and alternative sources such as this country.
What about Mr. Matthew Larry? Which manufacturing industries do you believe offer Vietnam the greatest opportunity to create more value domestically?
And just to add to Bjorn, I agree with those, but we're also looking at semiconductors. We're looking at the actual value chain into electronics that form part of it. So instead of being an assembly, it is a development. So that requires a lot more technological contributions by experts into this, developing that supply chain and developing the output. So yeah, semiconductors, renewable energy is another one. So renewables and being part of that supply chain, I think are two areas that I would add on the back of Beyond. But absolutely, I think it's that less labour intensive, more process driven, and very much higher value output is where we're going to get to, and that's what we need to be looking at.
Rather than relying solely on customer designs, This manufacturer has moved into product development, helping create collections before they reach production.
Thì chúng tôi đã làm những cái đơn hàng FOB để chúng tôi tăng thêm cái giá trị gia tăng. Mà cụ thể đơn hàng FOB đây là khác cái đơn hàng thì chúng tôi lại chủ động thiết kế mẫu và chúng tôi tạo ra những cái bộ sưu tập để cho các cái nhãn hàng họ chọn trên những cái thiết kế của chúng tôi. Thì cái giá trị gia tăng của chúng tôi cũng cao hơn cả cái hình thức của FOB. Tỷ trọng làm ODM và FOB cho đối với cái doanh thu xuất khẩu của tổng công ty May 10.
Đồng thời chúng tôi mở rộng thêm các cái sản phẩm công nghệ mới, những cái sản phẩm những cái nó không có đường may và nó áp dụng các cái máy móc công nghệ thiết bị mới cho may mặc, đổi mới cái mô hình sản xuất từ mô hình truyền thống sang cái mô hình mà có công nghệ cao. Đồng thời là chúng ta đang bắt đầu xây dựng các cái nhà máy thế hệ mới.
Technology alone, however, is no longer enough. As companies move further up the value chain, stronger domestic supply chains, logistics services, and financial support are becoming equally important to improving competitiveness.
Kết nối các doanh nghiệp với nhau, đó là để tận dụng cái thế mạnh của nhau, là xây dựng qua hệ sinh thái tận dụng FTA. Khi hệ sinh thái được ban hành thì những cái vấn đề vướng mắc mà doanh nghiệp gặp phải trong quá trình thực thi FTA cũng sẽ được giải quyết đáng kể, bởi vì có sự vào cuộc không chỉ của các cơ quan quản lý trung ương mà còn các cơ quan địa phương, không chỉ có sự phối hợp của các chủ thể trong chuỗi giá trị mà còn kể cả các chủ thể ngoài chuỗi giá trị như là tổ chức tín dụng, những cái hệ sinh thái.
Competition in manufacturing is no longer simply about producing more products. As localization in the textile and garment industry approaches 50% and domestic value added reaches around 40%, the industry's experience illustrates a much broader lesson for Vietnam's manufacturing sector. Long-term competitiveness will depend more on the value created at home.
Finally, a question for both of our guests, Mr. Matthew Larry first. Now, if we were having this conversation again in 10 years, what would convince you that Vietnam has successfully transformed its manufacturing factor?
I think it's going to be, one of the things is going to be value. We've increased manufacturing year on year in recent years significantly, and that needs to continue. If we can show that we continue that, that means it's been value add, because we're not going to have the growth in people, but we have going to growth in productivity and the growth in the actual value of our outputs. And the second one is how deeply we've made Vietnam as part of supply chain for the rest of Asia and global manufacturing. So yeah, I would put those two areas to measure against success in 10 years' time.
Now, what about Mr. Kolosky? What signs would tell you that we successfully delivered the transformation?
Yeah, so we already talked about assembly. At the moment, this for sure is Vietnam's comparative advantage. Basically, in 10 years, I hope that we will see established supply chains upstream, basically, like meaning for metal processing, steel manufacturing, for plastics, the produce of granulates here, and so on and so forth. But also in R&D, I believe this is something we did not really talk about today, and more also service topic maybe. But for sure, I would also love to see Vietnamese enterprises engaging in taking part in developing the most cutting-edge technologies here, then having suppliers who deliver parts into factories that will then produce them. This would be fantastic in 10 years' time.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Bjorn Klosky and Mr. Matthew Larry, for joining our program.